What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Jonny Lazarus. Just one guest today. We got Stefen Rosner joining at around 9:45 to talk about the New York Islanders, specifically Ilya Sorokin, but we will get into a lot of topics after last night's Frozen Frenzy. We actually could talk about the Frozen Frenzy as well, Colby. Like last night, I kind of felt your pain. I know you don't like watching multiple games at once, and I usually am a fan of the Frozen Frenzy and the idea and the concept, but I did feel very overwhelmed last night, just having to bounce around, watch so many different games, keep up with so many different storylines, and picking which games to watch because the Dallas-Washington game I found a little boring, so I wasn't really paying attention to that one as much as I was to, let's say, the Devils-Colorado game. Just for example, I'm not trying to pick on teams yet. That's just like where I found my attention. Speaking of that, we will talk about Thomas Harley and his extension today. We'll talk about the Blackhawks and Connor Bedard's hat trick last night. We'll get into the Vancouver Canucks a little bit because they are facing a massive injury bug last night, and they were bag skated yesterday morning, and they came out and got shut out last night. And then, like I said, we'll talk some Islanders. What?
After what Rand Pecknold told us here on Monday as well about the bag skating.
Yeah, so lots of different topics. We'll also go to the chat. We'll hear what you guys, our listeners, want us to talk about. Maybe we'll try to get to as much as we can. But for starters, Colby, just how you doing? I know you guys had a big win last night yourselves.
Yeah, I'm tired this morning, Johnny. We our junior team, the New Jersey Titans, we played the Maryland Black Bears last night. They were on a 10-game heater. Number one team in the North American League this year, and we took them out in overtime, 6-on-5. Big night for the power play, 4 for 7. Not many. I've been coaching now. This is my second season doing the junior team, and there haven't been many wins where I've been very
fired up
after the win.
Yeah.
Like I think I get more frustrated than fired up on most occasions. But I was fired up last night because we were down. I mean, you could arguably say we're down, two of our top forwards, two of our top scoring forwards, one guy injured. The other guy was late for the game. And so I scratched him. And he's probably our best forward. He played in the Quebec Major Junior League and has a lot of experience, even in the CHL. And when he wasn't there for the pregame meeting, I'm just like, you got to be shitting me. I was like so annoyed because it's like the rules are the rules, whether it's your best player or not, you got to sit him. So we were really shorthanded last night. We had to move a defenseman up to the forward spot, and then couple shifts into the game, and you probably all know this name. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Rick Kowalski coached in the National Hockey League as an assistant, American League. He was the Bridgeport coach for a while, actually. So we're talking about the Islanders. His kid gets hit and splits his whole face open, 65 stitches.
65 stitches? Holy
in and
shit.
Out because it was all the way through. And this will be the last part of me talking about junior hockey. I texted him last night about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And I said, how are you feeling? How are you holding up? And he goes, I just want to make sure that I don't misquote it. I know I screenshotted the text to you guys. Like, man, we talk about hockey players and being tough.
I'm pretty sure he was like, I can't really eat.
I'll
I'm numb. I'm starving. Yeah.
Let me read it. So he said, my face is numb and I'm starving, but I'm fine for Friday's game. That's
Love
what
that.
He said back. That's what he said back to me at midnight last night. So, listen, hockey players, man, they're tough. And, this kid in particular, his name's Ryan Kowalski. His father was a hockey player, pro coach. Like, you can tell the coaches' kids are just built different. So anyways, that's my rant, Johnny, for the first couple of minutes. It was a great win for the boys last night. So I'm proud to talk about it today. It was a back and forth game. And like I said, we took them out in overtime. So let me ask you this, because you kind of started to go down this road. Because I did see I don't know. I guess I saw people complaining on social media a little bit more last night about the frozen frenzy than I'd seen in the past. But, you know, do you think this needs to be a situation like the frozen frenzy, maybe where it goes from like, it's like a Saturday and it starts at like noon, and you can maybe have it a little bit more spaced out? I mean, I'm just asking you the question,
Yeah.
I'm not complaining because I didn't get to see the frozen frenzy until 10:30 last night. So I caught the late games and the West Coast games and stuff like that, but maybe it needs to be in a bigger window so it's a little bit more digestible. But I guess the answer I would go back to on that, like in the NFL, you everybody plays, in the 1 p.m. game or the 4:25. Like there's basically two time slots, and then there's only one Sunday night football game and one Monday night football game for the most part. Yeah, there's Thursday night football, but like all those games are on a Sunday in a condensed period of time. So I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I think the only other day you can really do where it makes sense is Friday. And you could start, maybe earlier in the day on Friday. Like, listen, I understand the corporate world, but I do think people also, kind of check out a little bit at 3 o'clock on Fridays, right? Like, I think that's kind of when, at least when I was working in an office, I feel like at 3 o'clock on Friday, people started to wind their day down a little bit. That could be a solution if you want to start games at 3 in the afternoon. But I think the actual frozen frenzy itself, like the show that they're doing with Bucci and Kevin Weeks, and obviously it's a tough gig to do, but where it differs from Red Zone, Red Zone isn't really I don't want to say it's like a show. It's really just bouncing from game to game. You're highlighting broadcasters too. Like this was more speaking over the action as it's happening. It's not like you're listening to the broadcast or really tuning in live to feel the actual game. It felt like you're watching just a hockey show with highlights that are being played over the show. So that's where it's different than Red Zone. Like Red Zone, when things are happening in a game, they go into that game as those things are happening. And like you feel like you're actually watching the game and you're a part of the game. This is just a little different. Like they bring in, Frank Nazar, Gary Bettman, which is cool. Like it's awesome to have, players being interviewed and the commissioner being interviewed. But again, like that also takes away from the actual highlights of the games that people want to watch. And, there was one in particular last night and I saw it mentioned in our chat and I saw it all over Twitter and I actually watched it myself when this Flyers Penguins brawl happened. And even in overtime, they're doing a split screen with Dallas and Washington. Like this game's in overtime and that game's in the first period. Like keep the focus on one game. You don't need to split screen and take away of something great happening in one game just so you can show multiple games. And I think, that's where the complaints kind of stem from. It doesn't really feel like you're watching Red Zone. And I think it's been promoted as the NHL's night for like a Red Zone style. And I think that's maybe where the disconnect is.
Let me ask the chat this morning. So one thing I always say is if you're going to, not like something, bring a solution to the table. So let me ask you in the chat.
Well, I have a solution, Colby.
Okay, well, hold on. I want to hear it. I actually do want to hear it. But I would say to the chat, give me your solutions and let us hear you. Because if we don't like something, let's put it out into the universe how we think we could do a better job or how we could change it. So, Jonny, I'll like to take it back to you so you can tell me what you think. But I'm curious from the chat. Love to see them put their brains into this one a little bit and tell us like how would you improve something like this and make it more digestible.
And I'm trying to address some comments in the chat here. I see like Adam Gilkis saying Scott Hansen, it's a show. And yeah, Scott Hansen comes on camera every now and then, but he doesn't take up the entire like day of Red Zone with his actual face on screen. Like you're watching the games and you're hearing, the broadcasters and you're feeling the game. I think that's what this was missing. But also how I don't. Oh, here you go. Ice Club said football is more predictable for when things happen, where hockey you can't. Sure. And that's where my idea comes in though. Like I actually tweeted this years ago. I said the NHL should have a channel similar to Red Zone, but it should be for power plays. And the idea I said was like NHL ozone. Like if you just had 5 games on and whatever game has a power play happening, you focus on that game. Like that's when you can predict a goal. Like if the Avalanche and Devils are playing and one of those teams are on the power play, go to that game. I know the Avalanche power play was shit up until last night, But last night their power play goes 4 for 6. Like it was, like that. That's when you should lock in on the games.
Flush this out before, and I got to be honest with you. I think it's one of the only smart things I've ever heard you say in 2.5 years of doing this together. I think there's something to that. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that it's really the only part of a game that is predictable where you're going to see sustained offense. And so I totally agree with you. And I even like the name, believe it or not. And I think that's a good idea. And listen, you should take that idea and float it to your superiors at TNT. I mean, I know you work for Bleacher Report, which is part of Turner. Why not bring that to them, Johnny? Because I think that's a great idea. Like, I really do. I think that would be the way to sort of try to replicate
the red zone,
what the red zone does, and look, John Butchergross is as good at doing everything as anybody.
Yeah.
And like Butchie can do play-by-play. Butchie could do color. Like he's so good at so many different things that I believe he would be the perfect guy to oversee that type of show, like Scott Hansen is for the NFL for the NFL red zone ticket. But I truly believe that's a great idea. I really do. I think, Vic, you should clip that when Johnny was just talking about that today. And I think we should get that on the internet. And I think that we should make sure that that goes viral. For those of you audio only, Vic just put a breaking news on the screen and it says breaking: Colby compliments Johnny, and a genuine compliment. I hope Karen is watching today, by the way.
I don't know if she is.
I honestly, I'll give you a lot of flowers for that idea, and I've heard you say it before, so you're not.
Yeah.
You're being
no, I tweeted it,
which is pretty opposite of what you normally are. You're normally not that consistent. You go from this guy's going to be 100 points to that guy's going to be 100 points to nobody's ever going to be 100 points. So I like your consistency here, Johnny. I really do.
I'm gonna find the tweet. Or I'm going to try to find the tweet and get it to Vic so we can show it. I think it was from like 2020, maybe. Like it was a long time ago
Johnny, let me throw this one in you. For those of you that are dedicated and are with us, which most of you are, we've had Brant Berglund come on the show a number of times and talk about ice tilt. And what about if we use the ice tilt data to know which game to get to, because you basically see where this pressure is coming from, creating opportunities and chances for the other team. And I'll throw that idea and that love to our pal Brant Berglund, who teed that one up for me. But I think that's another good idea, because that data is available to the broadcast. It's available to the companies that are producing these NHL games. So good idea, Johnny. I haven't seen, and yes, Randy Workman is asking if I'm sick. Yes, I am definitely. I'm definitely fighting it a little bit. I've been the last couple of days, but it seemingly has caught up with me a little bit. So had a big cup of Theraflu this morning, and hopefully that will get me through. But I haven't seen a better idea than that in the chat yet, Johnny. I think your idea is the leader in the clubhouse right now, pal.
All right. Well, I'll take that for now, but let's get into some, topics around the league. We got a lot to talk about. But first, let me give a word from our sponsor, Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care. Made in Italy since 1948, Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at parasso-usa.com with our promo code hockey15 in all caps, hockey15. Let's start with the Dallas Stars, Colby. And I have a little bit of a take here. Thomas Harley signs a 8-year by, let's say, a little bit more than $10.5 million extension yesterday. First of all, I think he's deserving of it. But the take that I have here, with the way Dallas is set up, if they don't win a Stanley Cup by 2030, do you think this could be considered one of the biggest wastes of a well-built team over a decade span in the NHL? I mean, we're talking about a team who's been to 3 straight conference finals. In 2020, in the bubble, they were in the Cup final. They've been competitive pretty much every year. And when you look at their roster, they've got Heiskanen locked in. He's 26 years old until 2029. Harley now locked in. He's 24 until 2034.
At 8.45. What a
but let me keep going.
That's going to be.
Let me keep going. Ottinger, 26 years old, locked in till 2033. Hintz,
Boom.
28, locked in until 2031.
Boom.
Rantanen, 29,
New
locked in
York
until
Marines.
2033.
Boom.
Johnston, 22, locked in until 2030. Like, this team is built so well. What is New York Marines saying?
He read my mind. Like, Vic,
What?
put New York Marines comment on the chat, please, because this is the first thing that came to my mind as well. Is that this is the San Jose Sharks of the 2010s. I mean, think of the runs that they had with the teams that they had, and they couldn't get the job done. And that's my point, was going to be like, yes, Jim Nill is building this team to have a big window, but we are reminded year in and year out that it's hard to win the Stanley Cup.
But
it really is.
Even with the San Jose Sharks of the 2010s, like, I'm putting, like, who is their goalie? Martin Jones? Like, I'm putting Jake Ottinger and a guy like, who is their number one defenseman? Brent Burns, I guess, right? Brent Burns for the most part. Yeah.
Burns was
well,
there.
I'm trying to think.
Vlasic was damn good at that time as a shutdown defenseman. Scott Hannon was there a little bit, who was a pretty.
When did Burns get there, though?
I'd have to look that
up,
Johnny. I don't know for sure, but they had Niemi, by the way. They had Niemi in goal. After
but that was after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Niemi was a pretty good goalie in the NHL for quite some time. Marlowe, Thornton, Pavelski, Ryan Clough, Logan Couture, Dan Boyle, Devin Setaguchi, Jason Demare, friend of the show, Vlasic, Doug Murray. I mean,
underrated.
Pound,
You talked about him a lot.
Guy in the entire NHL for quite some time. They had Nicholas Wallen, who was a good player. I mean, McGinn was young. They had some meat on their bones with guys like Fraser McLaren. Like, these were pretty damn well-built teams. My buddy John McCarthy, who's the coach in the American League for San Jose now, former teammate of mine, he was on some of those teams. But, I mean, listen, when I just read all those names, like, that's pretty fucking good too. I mean, I think
it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but I still think, like, I listen to the names. Joe Thornton is the only one where I'm like, okay, maybe he's like the equivalent to Rantanen, and that's no disrespect to like Pavelski and Marlowe. Like, what?
Really? We're just going to put Pavelski and Marlowe aside and say they don't match up to some of these players from Dallas? Really?
Did they ever have – no, but like I'm saying as far as Rantanen level. I'm saying Rantanen and Thornton. I'm saying Rantanen and Thornton on the same level. Like, those are 200-point players.
Is Rantanen on his level yet? I mean, Thornton's a fucking Hall of Famer. Like, I think Rantanen's headed there, but like, listen, you're talking about Joe Thornton now, a guy who's like,
I'm aware of what Joe Thornton is. Like, Joe Thornton is.
How much did you get to watch Joe Thornton like when he was really good? Like,
not in Boston. I only really know him in San Jose.
Listen, I understand that, but like, your recency bias here. I mean, dude. You're forgetting how good Dan Boyle was at that time. Like, he's scoring 50 points in a time where defensemen were not scoring like they score now. I mean, okay, look, we don't need to go on some crazy tangent. Your point is a good point.
Yes.
This team is built to have a very large window. And this Thomas Harley contract, again, $10.5 million, like, was his coming out party for Nations where everyone in the hockey world went, oh my God, this guy's really good. I mean, everybody in Dallas knew it. The teams in that division knew it, and the fans in that division knew it because they saw him so often. But like, was that his big coming out party, you think?
I would even argue it was like, I'm just trying to look up the dates here from like post Four Nations, right? Because he kept it going after. And while he was good in Four Nations, like, I don't know if he was like this, I wouldn't say he stood out or like dominated.
Didn't get hurt last year.
And he played 50 games last year.
At the end of the season, where Harley was the number one guy, he started the playoffs on that number one power play unit. So I think last year was like everybody in his little bubble knew how good he was, but I feel like the rest of the hockey world really learned about who he was. And look, not only does he get a 10, what was the cap hit on that deal? It was
Like 10 and a half,
10.587.
10.587. Yeah.
Huge signing bonus. Would you rather have Bouchard or him?
Him for sure.
For me, it's not even close.
Not even close.
Like,
not even close.
Yeah, I mean, SMLDTK asked the question: would you rather have him or Bouchard? Vic, put up a poll, please. I don't even think that's close. And I like Bouchard. I think Bouchard does things most guys can't do, but I don't think that those two players are that comparable.
Okay, can I go on like a side tangent here? And I see one comment in the chat.
You're being an idiot?
No, I don't think so. It's just how we have judged players based on four nations versus like what they are in the NHL. And we had this conversation the other day about Nick Schmaltz, right? Like, how could you not consider Nick Schmaltz for how good he's been playing right now in the NHL? Like, if someone's leading the league in points, shouldn't you consider them for best on best? A guy playing in best on best versus a guy playing in the NHL are two different things. Like last night, for example, just a couple examples. Jack Hughes has been one of the best players in the NHL this year. He was not one of the best players of Four Nations. Just because he was not one of the best players of Four Nations doesn't diminish the fact that he's still one of the best players in the NHL. Him being the guy in his team, he didn't need to be the guy on Team USA. Those are two completely different things. Yes, like Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Jack Eichel, those guys were great in Four Nations. Those guys were great for their respective NHL teams. But just because guys didn't stand out in the best on best doesn't take away from the fact of how good they are with their NHL clubs. Like it continuously bothers me.
It doesn't take it away, Johnny. But when we talk about like who are the best, who are in, because we have those like tiers.
Of course,
Jack Hughes that's why he's not in those tiers for me. And I think I said this to you before the show started when you asked me and you told me people are trying to say that Jack Hughes is a better player than Jack Eichel. And my response to you
Pasha's also pushing like Jack Hughes over Crosby right now.
The only people in the world who think that are probably Hughes's parents and that guy Pasha from Barstool. They're like the only people in the world that think that. Like no one else in their right fucking mind thinks that. It doesn't mean Jack Hughes isn't an all-star. It doesn't even mean he's not an elite player. But like when you get to the best on best, that's how we find out who are the freaking 1% of the 1%. Yes. That's how we say, okay, McDavid's here by himself. And then who are the next two or three? And then after that, who are the next two or three? Because at that point, they're sort of jammed together, right? And so that for me is, you know, like, and I think Hughes is a tremendous talent and a tremendous player, but that's why I'm not putting him in the same breath as Eichel and McKinnon as those next two or three, or even Draisaitl for that matter, in that next little crop.
I think you also need to see Jack do it in the playoffs. And now we're on a different topic, but
so go
no, but I will give Jack Hughes also more credit because I think a lot of fans do say like, well, he's only won one playoff round. Like, what has he really done to prove it? In that playoff round, he was pretty fucking good against the Rangers, man. Like he came up big in that series. I don't know how many points he had exactly.
To lift the rest of his team
in that series, yes,
but he didn't win.
No. They won the first round against the Rangers. What do you mean they won in 7 games?
Okay, sorry, I thought you were talking about round 2.
No, round 2 against Carolina, not as good, but like that's the only sample size we have. If we were judging Jack Eichel, which we were, I guess, based on playoffs. Like Jack Eichel never made the playoffs till that year Vegas won the Cup, and then we saw him dominate in playoffs. I think 7 or 8 years into his career, maybe 9 years into his career. So like the Devils are obviously going to make the playoffs this year. I would think. Jack Hughes was hurt last year, so we didn't get to see him in the playoffs last year. And this could be the year where he proves he's one of those guys. Like I'm not gonna.
And go to the Olympics and be one of the best players on Team USA, Johnny. I mean, like, if you want to be in that echelon in those series or in a Stanley Cup final, remember how he elevated in the finals? How about how McKinnon elevated the year in the finals? Like, get to that moment, elevate, okay, and then tell everybody, shut the fuck up. I'm better. But until then, it's only the guy from Barstool and his parents and no one else.
But one last point, just to round out this little side tangent about
Who's
Four
that guy from
Nations.
Barstool? Is it Ben
Pasha.
Barr or something like that?
Oh, that's good. I love Pasha. I text Pasha like all the time. I think he's hilarious. And
he's an insane person. Get him on our show. I feel like him and I could
I will.
really argue with each other.
Yeah, I'll send this whole little bit to him. But let me ask you this question, Colby, because I really want to put this conversation to bed. I tweeted last or 2 nights ago, Craig Button talked about Adam Fox and his game and whatnot. Adam Fox last night, if you watch the Rangers and the Canucks, Adam Fox was the best player on the ice last night. But let's say Adam Fox, Kyle Connor. Adam Fox gets a big, he sucked at Four Nations, and that's like sticking with him a little bit because I think the Rangers last year were so bad that it's easy to then like pile on with how bad Adam Fox was in Four Nations because the Rangers were a bad team. Kyle Connor did not stand out at Four Nations, but the Winnipeg Jets last year won the President's Trophy, and Kyle Connor was a big part of that good, successful team who ended up, losing in the second round. But do you think those two have different post-Four Nations narratives just because of what their teams were? Like that's what I think it is. If the Rangers weren't as bad as they were last year, I don't think Fox gets the hate he's been getting post-Four Nations like Kyle Connor has not been getting.
Yeah, but I think like you're talking about, one player, is playing in an environment that's having a lot more success than the other player. It's easy,
that's what I'm saying.
Fingers.
That's my point.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's easy to point fingers at your premier players when your team stinks. That's just how that goes. That's the responsibility that comes with making a lot of money, wearing a letter, being a leader, being a Norris Trophy defenseman. So, but I'll be honest with you, and like again, I still think Fox is a premier defenseman in the National Hockey League. I really do. I still think he's one of the best players, but where his skating is at and what the U.S. team needs, to me, Lane Hudson brings everything that Fox brings, and he's a quicker and better and faster skater to me. So I don't disagree with it, honestly. And again, I still like and believe in Fox, but if I'm picking that team, Johnny, like he's not on it for me. He's just not. And I'm not sitting here saying Lane is either, by the way, but I'm watching the level of explosiveness that Lane is playing with, and I'm watching the way that Lane is defending, using his stick, using his feet. I don't buy the narrative on Hudson that he doesn't defend. I don't buy that fucking narrative whatsoever.
No, me either. No.
And so, but I would lean more into that thought process. And look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'd lean that way right now based on what I've seen in the early going. And, let's, and New York Marine, I know you're being a little bit sarcastic here with your comment, and he's saying Colby's saying Vlasic should make it over Fox or Hudson. That's not what I'm saying. I might be thinking about it, but I'm not saying it. It just depends on what role you're
I might be thinking about it. Yeah.
And it depends on how you're looking to build this team. Like, I think there's probably
neither one are playing power play. So
yeah, and here's the thing, like in this Olympics, like you have Werenski and you have Hughes. The question becomes, do you need an insurance policy defenseman for the power play? You probably would like to have one more, but there are other guys like Faber could be a power play insurance policy. He's not your first choice for it. He hasn't played great hockey this year, by the way, Brock Faber. He hasn't been at the top of his game. So
I think he scored his first goal last night.
It sort of just depends on how you're looking to build that team. It really does. But we'll see how this continues to go. We're not there yet. I don't even know how we got here. It started with Jack Hughes and it ended with the New York Rangers and Adam Fox. Shocker. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, but let's transition a little bit. We do have other topics to get into. But before we do, I want to give a quick word from another one of our sponsors, and that is Bauer. So I'm going to talk about the Bauer Pulse. This segment is a presentation of Bauer and the new Bauer Pulse, the Bauer Stick. First Bauer Stick to feature their latest kick point innovation. Powered by 2 distinct energy zones in the shaft, this stick is designed to adapt your game with loadability and precision of a mid kick and the explosive, unexpected release of a low kick. catch goaltenders by surprise with a quick shot they'll never see coming, or make dynamic plays in the zone that will have defenders scrambling. Combine all that with a new raised grip ink on the shaft, and Pulse will stay in your hands while you put the game in your hands. Exclusive to Bauer Hockey, the Pulse contains ultra lightweight and rigid boron fiber material, which creates a high strength to weight ratio and optimizes energy storage and increases reactivity. Featured on 40 flex sticks and above, the Bauer Pulse launched on October. Ooh, my voice just cracked pretty bad. Launched on October 17th. So for more information, check out Bauer.com. And now we're going to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks, Colby, because this team continuously is getting more fun to watch. Frank Nazar, Connor Bedard. I mean, we got to talk about Connor Bedard and his first career hat trick last night. All 3 goals. I texted you Invictus, like, honestly, after the second goal, I think, saying the goals that Connor Bedard has scored tonight is the goals that I saw in junior when everyone was calling this kid the prodigy, right? Like, he has an inch of time and space, and his release, he gets it off and he puts it in a spot that has this much room. I mean, that first goal, and you got to look at it right here. Holy shit, does he find a small hole over the shoulder and ear of Linus Ullmark to squeeze that one by him. And then the second goal, a little coast-to-coast rush up the ice, curl and drag. And third goal right off the draw, he goes top glove again. I mean, this kid right now, what he's doing, what the Blackhawks are doing, I think it has to make you question, like, does Kyle Davidson think this team could compete enough consistently to push for a playoff spot? Like, I know this was another year where the Blackhawks are looking to gain some more experience, play the young guys.
No.
You don't think so?
Johnny, let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna make this about the New York Rangers for 1 second.
We just did that.
What happens when you bail on a rebuild and you get a little bit horny and you get a little bit excited? What happens?
But I don't think they're bailing.
But you're proposing a question.
Yeah.
Should Kyle Davidson get more aggressive right now, right? Because of this team's success. My answer to that is no. Stay the course, okay? Don't go out and foolishly spend your cap space. They have $17 million in cap space, okay? Young players are getting phenomenal opportunities right now. Guys like Colton Dock, Landon Slaggert, Ryan Green is playing center in the National Hockey League. Obviously, Bedard, but he's in his 3rd year now, right? So it's a little bit of a different situation. You're breaking in some new defensemen, on the back end with Rinzel. Crevier's getting an extended look right now. Lev Shunov has been a little bit up and down, but he's getting a little bit more of an extended look, okay? Kyle Davidson should stay the course. When the time is right, and it might be this summer, and this summer might be the time to start looking and saying, all right, maybe if this guy's available right now, right, maybe Adrian Kempe becomes a target if his situation continues to go.
I was thinking right? Panarin. Already
Dude,
been there, familiar with
how old is Panarin, Johnny?
Turning 34, maybe 35.
Like, this is a guy who looks like he's lost a step, and he's turning 34, and he wants big dollars. Don't get
turning 34.
horny, okay? That would be my message to my friend Kyle Davidson, okay? Not that what I say matters at all, but I would tell him, just stay the course. Let Frank Nazar continue to play in every situation. Continue to give all these young guys opportunities to grow and learn throughout this season. Be patient, okay? Because when you're not patient and you can sniff a little bit of success and you go out and you sign Panarin and you start making all these trades, then all of a sudden you end up back where you were when Jeff Gordon started tearing it down for the New York Rangers, getting rid of McDonough, getting rid of Shattenkirk, getting rid of some of the forwards that were creeping into their mid-30s. Just don't do it, okay? I love that the Chicago Blackhawks are relevant. It's good for the game of hockey. They are one of the biggest and most important markets to the National Hockey League. Connor Bedard is starting to look like a number 1 overall pick. You look at that second goal he scored last night. Look how he's attacking between the hash marks, right? He's in the highest danger area to score that goal. The first goal, that shot, not many guys can make that shot. There's no doubt about it. So stay the course. The pain will be worth it when you're not locked into bad contracts with 35-year-old players. Your young players are actually ready to be stars, right? They're ready to actually perform and compete. But the Chicago Blackhawks are still 2 years away, in my opinion, this season and next season. And then the following season, that's when I want to see the Chicago Blackhawks be a team that we're saying they're going to go and they're going to push and push to run in the playoffs. Because remember, this core in Chicago, they're still going to have to learn how to win by losing in the playoffs. So don't rush it. And I don't think Danny Wirtz will do that. I think he will give Kyle Davidson the time to see this through, especially with the progress that this team has made.
I have two things, maybe three things to say. One, congratulations, Big Willie, because this is the first time you've actually ever made me laugh. Big Willie's commented in the chat, like, what is this, dumb take Wednesday? I thought that was pretty funny. I've actually never laughed at anything he said before. So I want to give him credit there. But just to the point, Colby, like, I wasn't saying Panarin's a guy who, like, you know, like they have $17 million in cap space.
You
like
just
you mentioned,
want
like
anybody to take Panarin off the Rangers.
No, but hear me out. No, hear me out.
They're in fucking trouble.
No, but hear me out. He's a guy who helps you get to the playoffs. Like he is. That's what Panarin can do. He can put up points, 90 to 100. He flirts with that pretty much every year. This year off to a slow start, but like if the Blackhawks are looking to like be a competitive team again and just get back to the playoffs, he's a guy that can help them do that. That was really why I thought him maybe. But other than that, like I agree with everything you said. Like, don't rush it. But if the guys are playing well and you have momentum, like I think Chicago has the future of their blue line somewhat figured out. They have their goaltender figured out, and now you're seeing the arrival of Bedard and Nazar, this like 1-2 punch. So, I don't want to say strike while the iron's hot, but like, don't you want these kids to be at least like feeling like they're competing for something?
They are right now. They are right now. And look,
maybe that was worded poorly.
You're seeing them grow and you're seeing them believe for the first time in years. And you're seeing fans start to believe again for the first time in years. But again, you've come this far. You've burned it down to the studs. And man, you look at the rebuild that this team has gone through. Like, they really brought it down to the studs. When you walk away from 2 first ballot Hall of Fame players that are beloved champions in your city, right? And you turn over your front office and you go through scandals. This team has literally gone to the depths of hell, and they're just starting to get back to earth and an even, spot. Don't panic now and get horny. And I don't think Kyle will. And that doesn't mean, listen, they've got plenty of draft capital. Next year, they have 5 picks in the first 2 rounds, 2 firsts, 3 seconds. Like, that doesn't mean if they're hanging around for a playoff spot, then maybe they say, you know what? We're not going to trade Sam Lafferty for assets. We're not going to trade, guys on expiring contracts. Like, Nick Foligno's got an expiring contract. Jason Dickinson's got an expiring contract. Mikheyev. So maybe you don't trade those guys away, Johnny, and you let them try to push their way in to get some playoff experience if they're still there. But, I still don't think they should be sitting here at the deadline going, hey, I'm going to add. We can make a run for this right now. Kyle is too smart to fall into that trap.
Well, I see a comment like why. Let me just address it first. From MTolly27, Johnny, why would you take these minutes from them early? If someone is projected top 6, is playing top 6 minutes, and you get a 33-year-old to take their spot, what does that do for them? And granted, like I've been dealing with the same thing here in New York, saying the same stuff. But with that, like, right now the Blackhawks have Teuvo Teravainen, right, as their second line left winger. I think he's the guy that's been playing with Nazar for the most part, and a little bit with Bedard over the past couple years. Like, he has, 1 more year left on his deal after this year. Like, that's a spot where you can have Panarin for 3 years. Like, let Nazar or Bedard play with a talented, skilled guy like Panarin, like, before you have the young guys that are ready to step in and do it. I think that's all I'm saying.
Like, a guy like Panarin, there's players defer. And the last thing you ever want is your young players now to defer to a guy like Artemi Panarin, a guy who needs the puck on his stick. He
I don't know if I
commands
see
the puck on his stick.
Bedard and Nazar doing that. I don't see those two deferring. Like they're establishing themselves enough, I feel like, where they wouldn't.
Okay.
You're telling me Panarin wouldn't get the puck
think
on Bedard's stick and Bedard wouldn't be able to bury 40?
I think that thinking that Panarin, with the money that he's looking for to come in,
they
there
have
when
it.
they're
The
still
Blackhawks have it.
It doesn't matter though. You want to have your cap space ready to weaponize it when you're ready to win. Like, and when you have a long-term plan, putting a Band-Aid on it to say, let's get Connor Bedard more goals and give him Artemi Panarin for 2 years. Again, where does that get you? It doesn't
It could get you to the
a
playoffs.
championship. It doesn't
No,
get you to a
get you to the playoffs.
championship. Johnny, come on. This is
I truly believe that could help you get to the playoffs.
Now you're spinning your wheels. Come on, you are like
I
you're back
I really don't
into
think
a
so.
corner, and now it's just starting to sound fucking dumb.
I really don't think so. I think Panarin right now is struggling because the team is struggling to score goals. Granted, I don't think he's been as aggressive, but like this guy has been for the last 6 years a 85 to 100 point, even 120 point player. Like, I think if he's put around a guy like Bedard, right now he's playing with Mika. Like if he's on a line with Bedard, I still think he's producing. But let's table this because we do have Stefen Rosner waiting. We got to get into a different topic, and and this might be a longer show, Colby. I don't know if you have a hard off today, but we'll get into some other topics that we do want to discuss. But with that, let's talk about another one of our sponsors, Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins. If you're hosting to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. And today's Uber Eats stat of the day, which we're going to talk to about Stefen Rosner pretty specifically, we got to talk about Ilya Sorokin. He's 2-4-1 on the season with a .868 save percentage, a 3.75 goals against average, and is ranked 55th right now with a -3.1 goals saved above expected. I don't know if he's fully to blame last night for the Islanders' loss against the Boston Bruins, but Stefen, I think you were in the building, right? Oh, you were not, and you're muted. I read your lips though, so let's make sure your audio works. Vic, get on that. Well, I guess. What's the word? Ad lib, or what is it when you improv? Improv is what I'm looking for. We'll improv a little bit. We're gonna get into detail with Stefen about Sorokin and about Schaefer. The Islanders last night, they go up 2-0 pretty early against Boston. Boston scores 3 goals in a very quick span. They end up winning 5-2. And I was sitting there in the first period, Colby. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Boston this year, but I was like, oh my God, this team stinks right now. And I thought the Islanders were going to run them out of the building. And then, things kind of hit the fan a little bit in the second period. Boston capitalizes on some power plays. And next thing you know, the Islanders find themselves in a 5-2 loss. Let's try this again. Steph, you there? Nope. Okay. Struggling out of the gate with Stefen Rosner. Colby, what do you have to say? Anything going on in the chat?
Well, I mean, listen, we might as well start talking about the New York Islanders because that's the debate. I think we laughed earlier in the week or last week when you were tweeting about Schaefer and Chris Pronger.
Did you just tweet that? I just saw your tweet, you asshole.
Poured some hot water on your take, and I mean, now you're already like you're off the Matthew Schaefer train. You think they need to pull him back? Is that sort of where you're going with this whole thing?
No, that's what Stefen wrote about, so I want to ask him about it. But it seems like, after a couple of games where Schaefer hasn't produced a point, even though he was, running the first power play, it seems like that conversation of has Schaefer hit a wall is starting to happen. But nobody watches this team closer than Stefen Rosner, so that's why I wanted to bring him on and ask him. But also specifically about Sorokin. Like, I feel like Islander fans and people who cover the Islanders like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the last couple of years have been saying that Ilya Sorokin is a top 5, top 10 goalie in the NHL. And the Islanders signed him, for what they thought that meant, which was, I believe, a 8-year, $8.25 contract a couple years ago. When did he sign that? I think back in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And, this year, like, Islander fans are turning on him. I think he just hired a new goaltending coach. after a loss the other night. Like things are turning pretty quickly on Ilya Sorokin on Long Island, I should say.
Well, didn't they hire his old goalie coach from the KHL? That was the
Yeah, I believe so.
move. And listen, when you have a franchise goalie or a guy you've invested in to be your franchise goalie, I think you always want to make sure that, you know, you're kind of doing whatever you can when they're struggling to find their game. And you know, and watching, you know, the highlights and poking around that game last night against the Bruins, like, look, are they bad goals that went in? No, but would you
No,
like to
there was
see
one.
a
There was
couple of
one.
those- Would you like to see a couple of those that kind of go through them saved? I mean, even on the Lindholm goal, like it's a bang bang play.
Yeah.
You know, the one that beats him clean from far out, I think it was the geeky one timer. You know, I think that's probably the one, but you'd still like to see him come up with saves, right? And when you're, you know, at the time, I forget what's his cap hit. It's like in the eights, right? Like, wasn't he kind of one of the first
8.25.
goalies to
Sorokin?
get that like
Yeah.
8+
I just said
million number?
Yeah.
He was,
8.25.
but no, I'm saying timing wise. Didn't he sign that before a lot of the other guys did, Johnny? Do you remember the timing of that signing?
I think it was 2024, but I can double check. Does Puckpedia have like the date it was actually signed? Signed on July 1st, 2023, it says, I guess.
I'm a cap wages guy. Maybe I got to look at the Puckpedia a little bit more.
Puckpedia says July 1st, 2023. So 23-24 is when he signed
What was with the guy from Puckpedia yesterday who was calling you like a moron on social media with who was he on with calling you a moron?
Pete Blackburn.
What was the deal with that whole thing? Is that something you want to respond to?
No, that's my friend Keith. We publicly hate each other, privately love each other. It's kind of just like our thing. He's a big Devils fan, so I always go back and forth with him on talking shit with hockey and stuff. But he does a good job with Puckpedia. Very analytical guy. And yeah, that was a funny clip yesterday.
All right, I think we're gonna have to buzz by the New York Islanders until we can see if we can get Stefen Rosner back in here. But did you see what happened in Vancouver yesterday? I just thought it was funny because we had Rand Pecknold. You're such an idiot sometimes.
Did I see what happened? I sent it to our group chat.
Okay.
How do you think you saw it?
Up on it here. We had Rand Pecknold come on the show Monday, who is a coach that's won a national championship at the college level. And he talked about, you know, how bag skating only really accomplishes one thing. It makes the players hate you as a coach. Mm-hmm. And so Adam Foote, first-year head coach, again, former teammate, guy who was an unreal guy to be around, be in the locker room. Yes, thank you, New York Boost. I'm glad you picked up on that because my Dumbo co-host is just a little slow at times and just doesn't understand how this stuff works. But, you know, I don't know if you've got the video ready to tee up, Johnny, and maybe you want to read us into this. But it was interesting, the sights out of Vancouver yesterday.
I don't know if Vic can tee up a video if he's working on Rosner, but I guess here's the look at the Vancouver Canucks morning skate, doing a little bit of a bag skate, and then they go out last night and get shut out against the Rangers. And, you know, the Canucks right now, just kind of looking at what they're dealing with, they have a massive injury bug going on. Höglander's out, Lekkerimäki's out, Heedle's out, Forbert's out, Bluger's out, Quinn Hughes is day-to-day, Victor Mancini's out, and last night Connor Garland, who was leading their team in points, he gets hit by Sam Carrick, and he didn't return to the game. So this Vancouver Canucks team right now, I mean, it's been a rocky start for them. They're 5-6-0 to start the year. Obviously, they want to have a big year because Quinn Hughes did say with Elliot Friedman and Kyle Bukauskas earlier this year on 32 Thoughts at the Player Media Tour that, you know, this year probably will have a big impact on what he decides his future will be. Obviously, having him hurt sucks, but the Canucks right now, I mean, I was watching that game last night, and there just seemed like zero skill. You know, both teams were struggling to make plays. I didn't notice much of Brock Besser. Pettersson, you know, was fine. He wasn't exceptional, didn't really stand out much. He threw a huge hit on Vakanainen, but like that was probably the most noticeable thing I think he really did. But this Vancouver team is going to struggle, especially if they have all these guys out. And when you back skate in the morning and then come out and get shut out, that can't be good for team morale. I don't think I've ever backskated on a game day before. Maybe once at UMass, I think we did it, but I don't remember or recall ever really backskating like that on a game day.
Did you see the picture on social media of Adam Foote, JT Miller, and Quinn Hughes like having a beer the day before
At lunch?
the game?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Obviously, everybody's coming up with whatever their own story is. Remember, Adam Foote was the assistant coach before he was the head coach, and so different type of relationship. Footy was a player for a very, very long time in this league, and definitely would have crossed over as players with JT Miller. Probably not Quinn Hughes, but JT Miller for sure. Because Footy was still playing when I was, and so was JT Miller. So kind of cool to see that, honestly. Like, I just thought it was funny that stirred up a lot of emotions for people, and people are like, oh, they're obviously talking about Elias Pettersson. Do you think that guy's ever gonna recover to form? I just don't see what gives there, because who's taking on that contract, and there's so much money, so much term. I have no idea what the buyout would look like. If one of you guys want to go on one of the websites and run that as a buyout, but like, what the hell is going to happen with Elias Pettersson? I mean, and then the last comment I'll hit you with, Johnny, and then you can go here, is I don't know what this means. And I know you're friends with Mike Kelly, but he posted something yesterday about goalie starts, and they're like perfect starts or some sort of stat. And like Thatcher Demko is the only goalie this year now that's had like 6 perfect starts in 6 games. Again, I don't know what the context between how he is quantifying that from like a statistical standpoint. But I did see Demko like at the top of that list, and I think everybody can agree that he's been pretty damn good this year. For the Vancouver Canucks. He's probably the brightest spot out in Vancouver right now.
Yeah, it says quality starts. I think it might be like based on perimeter shots. I think that's what he's referring to. It's a positive. Okay, it's a positive goals saved above expected. So it's essentially, not letting in a goal that shouldn't have gone in. So that's what he's calling a perfect start. So he gave an example, like Dobis is 5-0-0 with a .940 save percentage. This Tyler Gervais said that, and then Mike said he had a minus 0.20 goals saved above expected in the win versus Nashville, 2 goals on 19 shots. So I guess that's why he's not on the list. And again, like, by now how goals saved above expected works, right? Like, you have a plus number if you're stopping shots that probably should have gone in, like a backdoor tap in that gets robbed on the goal line, that gives you a +1 goal saved above expected, versus, a straight slap shot from the blue line that beats you through the 5-hole, that gives you a -1 goal saved above expected. So like, you're saving less than what you should be. So the quality starts, if I'm explaining this correctly, which we can clarify with Mike, I'd love to get Mike on the show, is the guys who haven't given up a goal that they shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. You get it?
Yep.
All right, so the name's on that list. I can just read it.
I think Rosner's back, Johnny, and I think he's ready to go. So let's try it again with Steven Rosner, okay?
Steven. With Steven Rosner. What's up,
honestly, I deserve that. I deserve that with the bad audio. I'm holding my phone now horizontally to make this look good, but appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, my God. That's a hilarious start. Steven Rosner. Steph, were you at the game last night?
Steven Glansberg. That's who he is right now to me. Steven Glansberg.
I wasn't at the game, but I was watching very closely last.
Okay, so why are Islander fans turning on Ilya Sorokin? Like, I saw our friend Pizza Sports Guy, who hasn't really been in our chat as consistently lately, but I saw him tweet, like, so broken. Like, is that what they're calling him now?
It's because in all 7 games he's played this year, whether it's his fault or not, he's allowed 3+ goals. He's come up with big saves, but maybe they haven't come in the biggest of moments. Last night against Boston, 5 unanswered goals for Boston. You were hoping at some point Sorokin would kind of like slow them down, make that big save, and he didn't do that. And that goes to the penalty kill, where your penalty kill, your goalie has to be their best player. You could say he hasn't been clutch. We know the advanced metrics. He's facing the most high slot shots in the league, the most high danger chances, but he's just he's not helping them win games. It seems more often than not he's being out-goalied by the other goalie, and that's credit to the Islanders either making the other goalie look well or just allowing that goalie to get in control and things like that. So the Islander fans have kind of turned a bit. There's obviously a lot more time for Sorokin to figure it out, but his goalie coach gets fired. You're hoping he shores up some things, and unfortunately he's just having a really hard time holding other teams to 2 goals or under.
Do you worry that it's getting to the point where the noise is getting too loud? Patrick Roy's talking about it too often, that we're going to start getting these change of scenery conversations coming up. And I think part of that is like, what is his value with the way that he's played? And look, I said this, and I don't know how much you heard while you were trying to figure out your audio situation. Like, he wasn't the problem last night. I mean, those were bang, bang plays. You'd like to see him come up with 1 or 2 of them, but they're giving up bang, bang plays, especially on the power play, like into the bumper, into the soft areas, like bad stick details on some of those goals, bad seam details on some of those goals. Like, when a team in the NHL has poor sticks, I blame coaching, and I really do. Like, and I'm a Patrick Roy fan first and foremost, as when he was a goaltender in the National Hockey League. When I was a kid, hockey at my house, because I was the younger brother for so long, I was the goalie, and I was Patrick Roy when I played goalie as a kid. Like, this is the guy that I love. And I was a huge Avalanche fan growing up, right? It was Flyers and Avs for me as a kid. So I'm curious, like, is this situation going to soon get to that point where the teapot is going to overflow here?
Unless Sorokin wants to go, they're not really going to move him, right? I mean, you look at, his contract. He's only in year 3 of an 8-year deal. He's got a full no trade. Like, he's not going anywhere. And if the Islanders want to do anything, they need Sorokin at his best. But, you said that about being a problem. And I guess at times he's been a problem in the sense of not coming with that clutch save. I think it's because he set such a bar his first couple of years that, oh my God, this guy's elite, that when he's not saving the day every night, people look at him and say that he has to be better. But I think the biggest thing is that he hasn't been the solution. Like I said, last night, there were times where he could come up with clutch saves to slow the roll of the Boston Bruins, and he didn't. And that's happened a lot this year. So I think it does come down to coaching. I think their defensive zone coverage, especially off the rush, since they've been a rush team this entire year, hasn't been good enough. That being said, they need better from Ilya, but it's a collective issue. Like, this whole team needs to play better in front of him. If they play better in front of him, maybe he's not as tired late in the second, early third period. Maybe he's more refreshed. David Riddick has played really well in his first couple of games with the Islanders. I'm not saying we have to go to him being the starter, but we're kind of getting close to at least having to go to maybe alternating starts. Riddick will get Carolina on Thursday. The plan is to go to Sorokin on Friday. It's obviously a back-to-back. But after that, yeah, if Riddick has another great game, I would lessen the load for Sorokin. We know how much he's had to play over the last handful of years with Varley being hurt. So I don't think it's a concern in the sense that they have to move on from Sorokin, but they need to find a way to be more efficient with his minutes and get him playing the best. If that means 50-plus games at a max, then that's what they're going to have to do. But right now, they just need to be better in front of him, and he has to step up his game for sure.
So I know this has been a topic of conversation previously, and this is kind of like a Colby question usually. I feel like Colby's always the one on the show who brings this up, but I just saw General Soreness in our chat also bring this to the attention as well. And I know when Patrick Roy was hired, everyone knew how much he loved Semyon Varlamov. Like, their relationship was well established in Colorado in those years. I think Varlamov was even like a Vezina finalist.
He was,
right,
yeah.
when he played for Roy in Colorado. And General Soreness said, how has the goaltending been on Roy's team? Seems like it'd be a tough position for a goalie to be in. And Colby always brings up the fact that, like, I can't imagine playing for Wayne Gretzky because everything Wayne Gretzky did was perfect. Like, how can I go chip a puck in and fuck up? And like Wayne Gretzky's, he's like, it's hard to live up to that kind of aura. And Patrick Roy for goalies, and Steph, you are a goalie as well. Like, I can't imagine for Sorokin Steph plays goalie. He's a good roller goalie.
More details, please.
All right, Steph, you go into it. But the question, you know the question I'm asking.
Yeah, answer the question and tell us about your goaltending, okay?
Yeah, so, well, it's one thing is I can't be in the head of Ilya Sorokin growing up in Russia, and I'm sure Patrick Roy was an idol, but like David Riddick He's wearing number 33. His idol is Patrick Waugh, and he's played well. Varley obviously knew who Patrick Waugh was, then got coached with him, and he played well. And Ilya Sorokin is shown to be a really strong, mentally tough goalie. You have to be at the NHL level. I think this is the first year where maybe his confidence has taken a hit. Again, I don't want to speak with him. You talk to him; he's a very confident guy. But I think that's more of everyone else looking into that. Of course, it's pressure. But goalies have really, that's a high leverage situation. You play goalie because it's high risk, high reward, right? So I don't think it's an issue that he's playing for Waugh. I just think he has to play better regardless of the situation. As for my goaltending, I played travel growing up. I played 4 years of high school hockey, and then I've been playing roller my whole life, a little cheaper, and I just played that in college. So I don't have my career stats in front of me. I was an all-star my freshman year. But yeah, we can move on from this conversation completely.
But that's where I met you.
It's about Sorokin being better. Yeah.
Just so Colby knows, I met Stefen at Skate Safe on Long Island. I think I played against him back in 2021. He scored 1 goal.
That's about it. On
roller hockey's perfect for Johnny because Johnny's the ultra skilled guy and the softest guy you've ever seen. So
yes, sir.
I mean, I feel like if there was an NHL of roller hockey, I honestly think Johnny probably could have been a star.
I think so too.
Yeah. What I will say is that I would not be playing roller hockey goalie if I didn't have these things called roller flies. And I'll just throw this out there for goaltenders who play ice and roller. It allows me to slide as if, it's not 100% like I'm on ice, but it is. I would not be playing roller hockey if I couldn't feel like I was on ice. And that's the only reason I still play because it's the most fun thing. But we can move on from my hockey career.
Yeah.
Well, shout out Skate Safe. I'm trying to get Skate Safe to host a Chicklets Cup. I think that'd be awesome.
There is breaking news right now. Logan Cooley. Elliot Friedman reporting 18 seconds ago. Logan Cooley 8 times 10 in Utah.
Wow.
8 times 10. So it's a big number for
that's a huge number. Holy shit.
I gotta tell you, the way that he's played, man, he looks the part. That is absolutely for sure. So thank God we didn't end the show at 10 o'clock today because we would have been freaking 2 minutes off the Logan Cooley signing. Stefen, while we have you, give us your immediate reaction to that contract.
Yeah, he deserves it. I mean, going into the year, I was looking at Logan Cooley and that team and just his line especially and thinking they could be a top 5, top 6 forward line in this league. And he's impressive, man. I think you see these big numbers, but think about what couple of years down the line, how much these guys are going to be making. I think this is a great deal for the team and for the player. He certainly earned it. They're fun. I mean, I think Laz spoke about it the other day. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
And Gunther's also a fucking bargain at 7.1.
you score 20 your first year in the league and you play all 82. And then in your second year, you get 25 in 75. And then in your third year, you start with 8 and 11. I'd say, I don't mind seeing a guy like that who has come into the league and scored goals right away. And, Johnny will make the argument that 20 goal scorers are more important than 40 goal scorers, which I still can't really wrap my head around the stupidity of that. But listen, this is a guy who has just done nothing but score goals since he came to the NHL. I mean, he's on pace
and make plays.
He's on pace for who knows how many this year, but would any of us be surprised if Logan Cooley scored 40 this year? Would that surprise anybody? I mean,
no.
Maybe he gets to 35 this year and eventually he'll cool off, but he's getting about a minute more ice time a game so far this year than last year. It seems like the more ice he gets, the more goals he scores. I don't know, chat, you tell me. And Vic, maybe throw a poll in the chat. Am I crazy to think this could be a 40-goal campaign for Logan Cooley? I mean, he's certainly playing the part right now, Johnny.
Wait, okay, we have Steph here. I think we should table the Utah stuff. We should just finish up with Steph and then get into Utah. I don't want to waste Stephen's time talking about Utah.
About the Islanders, you're trying to send Schaefer back to juniors. We're really going to do this?
No. I had one last question just about Matt Barzal because I think Islander fans have been on Barzal for the past couple of years. They want to say that 85-point player that they saw his rookie year, and he seems like he's having a lot of fun. Steph did a great article with Barzal talking about Patrick Waugh's system, his vision, and everything they want to have moving forward. And I'm curious what Matt Barzal's mindset has been so far this year, because he's flying. He's playing really well. That pass he made to Palmieri last night was gorgeous. But again, like, this is a team right now that's in this weird window, right, where they're not like rebuilding, but they're not necessarily expected to be a playoff team. So, like, where is Barzal at? And then we'll get into Utah right after. I'll let you go after this.
Yes. So I think you talk to Barzal and everyone on the Islanders. Of course, they think they're a playoff team. Forget the outside noise. But when Patrick Waugh got hired, Matthew Barzal had this fire quote, essentially, and he said, we're building a blueprint to be an eventual Stanley Cup champion. And that blueprint was playing that running gun offense, but also having the ability to defend the running gun offense. And the last year and a half under Patrick Waugh, I don't think the Islanders had the talent to play that running gun offense consistently. Matthew Barzal, who is in love with having Schaefer on the ice with him, and that defenseman, he said he's been, he watches Makar and McKinnon. He's watched Pedersen and Hughes. He goes, I finally have that guy. And he loves it. And I think they have to obviously play a little better sound defensively, but he's having as much fun as he's ever had playing hockey. He's back at center this year, coming off the knee injury because they lost Brock Nelson, and he's loved the transition game. You see him and Schaefer's chemistry on the ice. But yeah, this is Matthew Barzal at his best when he's able to play this game this way, and the team also winning. Now, obviously dropping the last two and having their defensive lapses, that has to be shored up. He's very confident that they can figure that out. He's coming off the injury. I think, maybe his speed's down, but his transition up the ice, and especially on the power play, with the amount of attention Schaefer gets at the point, Barzal's finding himself with so much more time and space to make plays down low. I think the Islanders need to exploit the down low game on the power play. They're 0 for 10 over their last, I think, 3 games. But yeah, he's having a ton of fun. He's very confident in this, and him and Schaefer, that's your next dynamic duo once they really shore up this defensive game.
I love that guy. Please tell him to come on our show. And with that, I think, Colby, unless you have anything else, we'll let you go, Steph. As always, incredible work. Doing an amazing job covering the Islanders, and keep it up with those walkout videos, huh?
Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
You got it. Love Stefen Rosner. I can't believe you called him Steven. Gonna have that over him forever. Let me do a quick read just from one of our sponsors, Amazon Prime, before we get into Prime Monday Night Hockey, before we get into just this topic of conversation with the Utah Mammoth and Logan Cooley. So this segment is a presentation of Prime Monday Night Hockey. Prime Monday Night Hockey streams. I can't say those 4 words. I struggle to say those 4 words. Prime Monday Night Hockey streams all national regular season Monday night NHL games on Prime Video in Canada and is available free to Prime members in Canada.
Monday on Prime.
It's legends versus legends in the making. Penguins, Maple Leafs, Monday at 7:30. Prime Monday Night Hockey. It's on Monday. It's only on Prime.
What a beautiful job by our friend John Forsland. Check out the link in our description for the Prime Monday Night Hockey schedule on Prime Video, or go to primevideo.com/NHL. Also on Prime Video, Faceoff Inside the NHL Season 2 is out. If you've watched this show, you know how incredible it is. The Sidney Crosby stuff, the Kachuk stuff with 4 Nations. I mean, they really go behind the scenes and give you a great show on Faceoff. So check that out. Subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Faceoff. Download the app or go to primevideo.com. And I know you must be laughing at MYR Marine's comment saying, cool that Johnny got a beat from his favorite team on the show today. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at Frank, texting with Frank right now.
What do you say?
I threw a little softball at him and try to get him to pop on the show to talk about the Cooley contract, but
he doesn't want to talk to me.
I was met with resistance because of you, Johnny, because of what you did 2 days ago, and
because I tweeted that Adam Fox is playing well.
The beef between you and Frank, and so now he won't come on the show. So that's unfortunate, because he would have been a great person to get on today.
Frank's been ghosting me for like 3 days.
His response was pretty funny, actually, and I tried to offer to buy dinner, but even that wouldn't work. So his disdain for you is just, I guess, at a level that he's not willing to overcome.
Would it make it worse if I told the chat to tweet him and tell him to forgive me? Because he hasn't answered my text. He's been ghosting me for 3 days. Would that make it worse, or would that help?
Not. He's not really that type of guy. From what we know about him, he's not really that type of guy.
Don't say that I said to do it, but if you want to tweet at Frank and say, please forgive Johnny, I'm not going to say don't do it.
All right, let's take a look at the players on the Utah Mammoth. Go ahead.
I had one thing I wanted to ask you because I saw a comment in the chat and I forgot who said it because it was a little further up. But someone said this contract and these contracts continue to make Kaprizov's look more and more ridiculous. I don't know if I agree with that comment. Do you?
No, because again, Logan Cooley is in his third year in the National Hockey
Yeah,
League.
taking $10 million off your ELC is a pretty big deal.
He's under team control with yes, sure, he has some leverage because he's so good and his numbers have been so good, but no, comparing him to Kirill Kaprizov, like, again, completely different situations. When you're going to be a UFA and you've got the track record that Kaprizov has, Kaprizov scored 47, 27, 47, 40, 46. Like, he's sniffing on a 50-goal season right now. And so, like, sure, does Kaprizov contract seem big to everyone? But it's not apples to apples. Like, these contracts are not always just represented by how talented a player is. Like, body of work, age, team control. I mean, you could make the same comment about how Lane Hudson's deal ended up falling as compared to like a Thomas Harley. Like Lane Hudson was under team control, you know, Logan Cooley under team control. If Logan Cooley had done what he's done the first couple of years for the next 3-4 years, and he was coming into his contract, he'd be at 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12.
If he wanted,
12
if he
minimum.
was walking into UFA. So no, it to me, like, the correlation, like, I understand from like a sticker shock standpoint, Johnny, why you might feel that way, but it's really not apples to apples or even apples to oranges whatsoever, in my opinion.
Okay, I think what we're both probably thinking about right now is where does this put Nick Schmaltz's number, right? Because he's an upcoming UFA. What?
I see people complaining about my audio today. So I don't know exactly how to turn the mic up. I'm trying to, I think
you sound fine.
Maybe that's a little bit better. I've seen like multiple people in the chat say that I sounded a little bit low today with my audio. So you were asking me a question, Johnny. Why don't you ask it to me one more time?
Yeah, I said, where does this put Nick Schmaltz and his number? Like he's a UFA, right? And I'm assuming they'd want to keep him. You know, we've talked about him a little bit in detail this week. He's off to a great start. He's leading the league in points. You know, Utah's playing well. I know their streak ended last night against Edmonton, but you know, I would assume that they want to keep Nick Schmaltz, and I would think his number probably starts with an 8, right?
Well, he's 29 years old. So it just really depends. Like, is, you know, man, it's like he's a 20 goal scorer every season, right? Like, you know, you're buying 20 goals. Do you think he's going to be a 40 goal scorer like it looks like Cooley is?
No.
Probably not. He's more of a 25, maybe 30 goal. So, you know, I
he's never even hit 30. He's never hit 30 in his career.
Is having the year that he's having. He's a little bit older at 29 years old. I think it's probably a situation now where his number probably is a 9 because he's a UFA. Maybe, you know, because remember, Adrian Kempe they were trying to get him done for 9. Now it's probably closer to 11 and a half. So for Schmaltz, who's a 60-point consistent player, he's an 18 to 20 minute a night player, and he's probably a guaranteed 25, let's call it 20 to 30 goals. Yeah, like, I think the number's 9, Johnny. I think that's the number that really sticks out to me. Now, if he wants 8 years, maybe the number has to go down, right? And if the team wants to go shorter than 8 years, then I think you're in a situation where you know, the number goes up. And so I think in order to keep the cap down, I think they want to go full term with 8 years, but you know, that drags the number down. Yeah, Johnny, and I'll tell you why. GMs don't fucking last 8 years. So that's not their problem. These contracts will only be their problem for 4 or 5 years, most cases. So why not keep the AAV down, keep your window competitive, and give these guys 8-year deals? Like, I think a lot of GMs are smart and realistic about that situation.
Yeah, I I don't know. Giving him 8 years feels. What was the longest contract he signed? I want to look it up. Like, what did he sign this deal?
Right here. I have it up.
Yeah, what
right
was
here.
this deal?
So he's on a 7-year
He's in
deal
7
right now.
Yeah.
He's at the end of a 7-year deal where he made
5.85.
Just about 41 million. Before that, he was making 1.5. So yeah, this would obviously be a huge bump for him from a money and a contract situation. And so, I think that the number is going to be 9, and it is based on the fact that someone will give him $9 million. So, you have to overpay because he's going to be a UFA. I think that's, reality. Would you do it? Would you give him that? What are you?
So here's my question. Like, Nick Schmaltz is playing on Utah's top line right now, but his career has shown. I mean, let me try to see how many games he's played in his career. He's at 599. So his next game is actually 600 in his career. He's had 440 points.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second. We're going to have David Pagnotta join us here in the next 5 minutes. The insider for the fourth period. He does some other work on DFO. He does the rundown and stuff. So he's going to join us here in 5 minutes, and we'll get more information about, this whole situation with Logan Cooley. What was Logan asking for? What did the team want? How did the contract come together and the timing of it? Because yesterday we had Matty McConnell on, and he didn't seem to necessarily feel like it was going to happen yesterday or today. So that'll be coming up in 5 minutes. We will get him on the show, and we'll get more information about how this Logan Cooley situation came to be and came to happen today.
Great stuff. Excited to have Pagnotta on. But back to what I was kind of asking you here. Right now Schmaltz is on their top line. Again, I think his career high is 63 points. Are we putting, a 65, 70 point player at $9 million? Is that where the cap is going? Is that point total equivalent to $9 million? Is that kind of what the benchmark would be, I guess?
I think 25 goals should probably get you to somewhere between 8 and, in the 8 range for 25 goals, which is the pace that he's on. But I think there's a premium on a guy who's going to be a UFA, right? So I think there's a 10%, maybe 15% bump because you're going to be a UFA.
Just so we're staying consistent here, I believe when we talked about Alex Tuch, you said he could be a $10 million player. Granted, the difference, Alex Tuch has scored 30-plus goals, I believe, twice. But I look at Tuch and I look at Schmaltz. Tuch is obviously a bigger, more physical player, but the point output in their career, or the outputs, have been relatively similar. I mean, Tuch's played 546 games, has 391 points. You look at these two guys, are they now, that $9 to $10 million? I wouldn't say Schmaltz is worth that much less than Tuch. If Tuch is a $10.25 million forward now, if I'm Nick Schmaltz,
Can I tell you why I think there's a little more value in Tuch, and it's because Tuch has a little
same age too. I think
Tuch has a little bit more of an old school flair to his game, and I think sort of the power forward has become a little bit more rare with this younger generation of player. I think you have a lot of guys that have so much skill and they can really shoot the puck, and they can beat goaltenders from distance. But when you look at Alex Tuch and you think about the fact that he's more of a north-south, old school power forward, I think that's a guy that is probably better suited to help you in the playoffs. And I think that there's a little bit more of a premium on a guy who can get 25 to 30 and do it that way than potentially Schmaltz, who's a little bit more of a higher skilled, makes phenomenal offensive reads, picks plays off, gets himself behind defenses, scores goals. So that's where I think that there's maybe a little bit more of a premium on Tuck, but I don't think it's necessarily far off. And I think, again, different situations. Like if you want a player to stay in Buffalo, you're going to have to overpay him. You're going to have to even more overpay him. Where if you want a player to stay in Utah, which by all accounts sounds like an incredible place to play, maybe you don't have to pay a Buffalo tax to keep him. And, I think that's probably why you're looking at these players ever so slightly different. And he's hit the 30 goal marker on multiple occasions, right? Where the other guy's been more of 20 to 25 goals. And like, I'm paying more for goals than I am for points. Okay. That's just how I wrap my head around these things when I value these contracts, is that I am willing to give you $1.25 for a goal and only $1 for an assist. Is how my brain works when I think about scoring goals in the National Hockey League, the hardest league in the world.
So you think, okay, dumb question. I'm not going to ask it. No, it's just kind of wrapping my head around this whole thing. Obviously, before we bring on David Pagnotta. But I'm actually,
while you talk, I'm gonna tweet that out that he's gonna join our show.
I'm sitting here wondering what Jimmy Snuggerud must be thinking, Colby. Jimmy plays at Minnesota with Cooley, with Nyes, with Faber. All these guys have signed their big tickets, and he's a rookie in St. Louis right now. Probably wondering what his number is going to be when his time comes. Obviously, this is only the second year of his ELC, so still has some more time. But it's still crazy that Minnesota team lost to Quinnipiac in that championship. Obviously, we had Rand Pecknold on. You did that game.
Well,
what a championship
Cooley,
that was.
Snuggerud and Faber and Nyes, none of them were on the ice to start overtime. Crazy. None of them were on the ice.
Yeah, but what a loaded Minnesota team that was that came up short. But yeah, these contract situations, they're going to keep getting more interesting. Like who's the youngest forward? Like is Cooley now? And chat, maybe you'll help me here because I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Is Cooley like the youngest guy or 21-year-old to sign a $10 million contract? Like what other 21 or 22 or younger player is there right now that's signed to a $10+ million contract forward? Like I'm trying to think. I'm blanking on any. If the chat can help. Do you have any idea, or are you still dialed in on tweeting?
I'm trying to find his Twitter. For some reason, it's not coming up. Maybe you could.
It's the fourth period. It's at the fourth period. At the fourth period.
I'm having a hard time finding it. But look, I again, like when you look at the early results of Cooley, and you look at the way he scored right away in the National Hockey League, like to me, this feels very, very right. It really does. Where everything has gone, the numbers we're at. What we're seeing players get, to me, this is the right contract. Like this doesn't seem like an overpay. It doesn't seem like you're even paying on future potential. It just seems like the right deal. I think Bill Armstrong got this one right. I really do.
So Ryan McLaughlin just said in our chat, third highest contract off entry level ever. I wonder who the other two are. Maybe it's obvious. I think someone said Eichel. But this is a good little trivia question. I'm gonna Google this if you want to talk a little bit.
Hey Vic, why don't you let us know here how close we are to getting David to come on the show here? Obviously, we're looking forward to getting him in here. We're looking forward to hearing kind of how this thing came about. I know Bill Armstrong was on the sheet. I believe that was on Monday with Jeff Merrick, the day he had Sheldon Keefe and he had Bill Armstrong. And it's funny. I got a chance to meet Bill Armstrong, Johnny. I think it was in the Tampa Frozen Four. His son was
the same one we're talking about.
Yeah. His son was playing for BU at the time before he transferred to BC, which still kind of is shocking to me. But it was really interesting just getting to talk to him a little bit in person and kind of just getting a feel for his temperament and how he sort of viewed that team and how he was viewing his own team. And at the time, obviously, there's still the Arizona Coyotes. He was kind of new on the job at that point because I believe he came over from, I think he was with St. Louis before he came over to the Arizona Coyotes. But again, I think that the work that he's doing, he's stockpiling picks. I think it's really just a job well done. So, Vic just texted us, Johnny. We do have David Pagnotta here. Hey, man, listen, thanks for coming on this morning. The minute this happened, I'm like, we got to get him on the show. We want to hear about how this all unfolded here because, look, I think we all expected a contract, but I don't think anybody expected it this morning. Maybe you did, but, give us the details here and the behind the scenes and how this all came about.
Yeah, boys, this was something that has been back and forth really all summer. And it was described to me as just a slug process. It just took a lot of time going back and forth. We had Cooley's agent, Brian Bartlett, on with Irf and I on the rundown a couple of weeks ago, and he just talked about the same thing. It's just taking a while. We're going back and forth. The lines of communication are still there. It's just kind of hard to hammer away. And it wasn't until the last week or so where things really picked up. They actually, guys, they agreed to terms on this deal about 3 days ago.
Wow.
They kept it quiet. Obviously, while the Mammoth were on the road is when they actually agreed to terms. They wanted to wait before making the full announcement.
They do that. Wow.
So, yeah. Right? So kudos to you guys. Were just talking about Armstrong. Kudos to Armstrong and his staff, and kudos to Cooley and Bartlett and their camp for keeping it quiet the last 3 days. But I can tell you, they agreed a few days ago on the terms of everything, just fine tuned it and obviously pen to paper last night and announcing it today. But this was something that the Mammoth viewed as obviously a priority, wanting to get Cooley locked in. And based on how the market has shifted, and for the better overall, it's resulted in a higher AAV than I think discussions really started at back in the summer. So, look, both sides are obviously happy about this. I got a couple messages on both sides about it. Both sides are very happy. They're excited to get this done. And now they can kind of continue to move forward because this is a team, guys, that I think you hinted on with the moves that Armstrong has made in stockpiling and just piecing together parts of this roster. This is going to be a team to watch moving forward because they're one of the clubs out there that are willing to go big game hunting, have them and have the resources and the financial assets to do it.
Colby doesn't believe in good vibes or reading off of vibes, but the Utah Mammoth and everything coming out of Utah seems to be positive vibes, right? I think, the next question is like Clayton Keller's contract is coming up soon, right? Like he's I think 2 years away maybe from UFA. Yep. Like you got to think the pieces that Utah is putting together in place, that they got Paterka now long-term. They got, is Barrett Hayton signed long-term yet or
Johnny,
no?
Just so you know, he's still,
no, he's an RFA.
Keller has 2 more years after this year. So
this year?
Yeah, he's got plenty of time. McBain's got another 4 seasons. Like they've got some pieces, and I can't believe Johnny didn't ask you this, so I will. What does this mean for Nick Schmaltz? Like where do they go now with Schmaltz? What does that number look like? Is he a guy that says, you know what, I want to be here, so I don't need to go get every last dollar as a UFA? Where does this lead us with Utah?
Well, as far as I know, they're not close on anything. They had conversations over the summer about trying to get him re-up to an extension. Didn't really get anywhere. We'll see kind of how things I think the conversation has changed a little bit because of just how incredible the start of the season has been for Nick Schmaltz. I think there's certainly an openness to stay. I do get a sense that the way the contract discussions were handled in the offseason may have left a pretty big chip on his shoulder, which we're seeing the results of that right now and what he's capable of. But I think this is going to be a conversation that's going to be reignited as the season kind of moves along. Utah kind of wants to see what he's capable of. And is this type of performance sustainable? Not necessarily the total point production, because that's going to be a hell of an ask, but can we see consistent play from this guy in terms of being a legitimate first-line threat for the duration of the season? And then I think they'll start to tackle that one. But as far as I know, going back to the summer when they had discussions, it just hasn't been close.
Pags, I doubt you heard us talking prior to hopping on here, but we were debating if Nick Schmaltz and Alex Tuch are in the same category or conversation, where Tuch has had multiple 35-plus goal seasons. I think he's put up maybe an 80-point year. And yes, Vic, I called David Pags. That's close. I've known David now for a couple of years. That's not a surprise to anybody, I don't think. Does no one else call you that, by the way? Or I guess everybody they call you DP, probably,
a lot
right?
yeah. You may have started that trend, to be honest, but
really?
it's definitely picked up in the last couple of years.
Oh, look at me. That's probably a bad thing for you. But point being, would you put Tuch and Nick Schmaltz, if they both get to the open market, in the same price range?
No, I think Tuch is above. I think he's going to be higher because of just what he's capable of. The fact that he has, I think, 3 consecutive 30 goal seasons. I believe. I think he got close to 80. I don't know if he hit it, but he got close.
79, I think.
And so I mean, look, the physicality that he brings, and I know Schmaltz has a lot of energy as well, but just the way that Tuch plays, and yes, Schmaltz can also play at the dot, so that's going to be the other factor in all of this. But with Tuch's capabilities, and doing it on, let's be honest, a Buffalo team the last few years that just hasn't been overly productive, has caught the attention of a lot of teams. Like, there are a lot of teams curious to see what the hell Buffalo is going to do with Alex Tuch, who, by the way, same agent as Logan Cooley. I think and this is another situation where they're both kind of open. I know that they put contract discussions on hold this month just to kind of get the team back on track and allow Tuch to kind of focus there. And there's no secret that he wants to stay, or he's willing to stay, but he wants to stay at a competitive value. And I think Buffalo's going to have to pay a premium in order to keep him. To what extent that is, I'm not sure. And with how many guys are kind of coming off the list in terms of big UFAs, like right now you've got Tuch, you've got Kempe, you've got Nate Jass, and you've got Panarin. If another guy falls off that list, the value for those other guys is going to be propped up even further because of the whole supply and demand thing. So if guys really, really want to cash out this summer, this might be the time to do it.
It'll definitely be fascinating to see kind of how this all comes together. And, you know, players are always watching to see what other players get. I completely agree with you on that Tuch versus Schmaltz situation. I kind of went through said something pretty similar to Jonny, and as far as where I see their values and you know why
they're the same age too
that way. So I think we're really on the same page there. Do you expect anything else to happen in the near future with the Mammoth? I mean, I know Armstrong is pretty good about keeping it tight and keeping a small circle, but you know, is this something we need to like really have our eyes on here for the next couple of days, or you think things will quiet down now after this extension?
I think I think he's going to go back to the kind of exploratory stage in terms of, again, big fish hunting and just looking to see what pieces may be available as the season progresses. I think like this is something that they wanted to obviously get done. They did. But I think, you know, I throw Utah, Carolina, and to an extent Ottawa in the same boat right now in terms of 3 teams that are willing to take a big swing during the season. I don't necessarily think it's going to be now, and I haven't gotten the sense that Utah is close to anything on that front. But if there's a big name that's out there and it's of value to some of these clubs, all 3 of those teams are probably going to at least have a conversation to understand what the price tag is. Like all 3 have a willingness to do it. The owners are willing to spend on it. And if it takes them one step further to contention, than for a cup, then I think they've got the green light to go ahead and make those types of moves. But I throw Utah in that same blend, where if there's a big guy that's available, they're going to at least have some conversations with that club about him.
Yeah,
I wonder who the next shoe to drop is. Yeah, but David, thanks for hopping on this morning. I know it was kind of on the fly, and I recognize that backdrop. So tell Dennis I say hello. Give him a big hug from me. All right.
I will, definitely. Nice to be in LA.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. Thanks, Pags. Appreciate you this morning, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yep. Later, boys.
Awesome stuff. Colby, way to go. way to act abruptly, as the news kind of drops. I feel like this is the first time in a while we've actually had breaking news happen while we're live. I feel like it always breaks as soon as we hop off. So it was nice to react live to this Logan Cooley contract and to get Pags' thoughts on it. One more order of business before we kind of wrap today's show up. We've gone a little long here, but obviously for good reason. Lots of things to talk about after last night's Frozen Frenzy. But let's get into our Bet365 bet of the night. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, as you all know already, you must be 19 or older, and download the app and get in on the game at Bet365. So tonight's bet of the night, only one game on. It is the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Columbus Blue Jackets. It looks like it's Caden Primo in goal for Toronto versus Elvis Merzlikins in goal for Columbus. Those haven't been confirmed yet, but just going based off the starters last night. Stolarz played for Toronto last night, and Jet Greaves played for Columbus last night, so you'd have to think these two get the look tonight in goal. And with that, the Columbus Blue Jackets on home ice, not trusting Toronto yet with how they've played this season. We are going to take the Columbus Blue Jackets on the money line. So they are minus 115. That is tonight's pick. Only one game, like I said. And Colby, I will give it to you to end today's show.
Yeah, long one today. Wow, hour and 40 minutes. But thanks to Steph Rosner and David Pagnotta from the fourth period. You can also catch him all across the Daily Faceoff properties. He does the DFO rundown. He's on DFO Live. I've seen him on the sheet, so he's definitely
great guy too
with our group. And I'll find out from him if he actually likes you and he's cool with your nickname team. Make sure you catch DFL at noon today, and then the sheet will be right after at 1 p.m. Haven't seen exactly who is going to be going on the sheet today, but obviously you'll want to catch that at 1 p.m. I'm sure it'll be a lot of talk about this new Logan Cooley contract. Make sure you like this episode. I'm looking right now at the YouTube on my other screen, and right now I think we could make sure we hit that like button on the way out. It'll actually be Brian Burke joining Jeff Merrick today out on the sheet. So you'll want to catch that at 1 p.m., the same place you catch our show. Berkey, obviously, always a great draw. Always great to hear him react to these things because he's a guy who's actually written contracts and had these negotiations and been on the front lines of these things. So hit that like button. Leave your comments in the YouTube once we're not live any longer. Make sure you get those automatic downloads going. We will continue to post our episode, and we will also continue to post the interviews separately. So if you just want to check out the interviews, make sure you download all of them for us, though, and let's keep spiking those audio-only numbers. Not sure what tomorrow's show will bring just yet. I know we were working on a surprise and potentially having players from that Spengler Cup U.S. team announced hopefully live on our show tomorrow. We're still working on the details of that, but we may be bringing you that tomorrow. We'll follow up with them today. So that'll be pretty cool to have that potentially announced on our show tomorrow. Again, we'll figure that out. We do also have Adam Nightingale, the head coach from Michigan State, will be joining us on Monday for our Cuppa College segment. So the coach of the number one team in the country, a guy who is getting NHL interviews, he will be joining us this coming Monday. We will let you know that again tomorrow, and then Johnny will remind everybody on social media on Sunday. But he has confirmed that he will join us for our Cuppa College segment on Monday. So that'll be great to get him. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, too, I think we might have Ray Ferraro on as well tomorrow.
Perfect.
Got to confirm with him, but I was texting him about tomorrow, so just got to lock in the time for that. And
so hopefully
I love Ray Ferraro.
We can make that happen. So he was cracking me up when he was talking about the Trevor Zegras incident, which we didn't even
get to that. Yeah.
But listen, Vic's got to go. Vic's got Leafs morning take here in 20 minutes, so we got to get off the air. I'm actually doing a radio show tonight with some the Flyers have a radio show that they do out of Chickies and Pete's, and so I'm actually the guest for today. So I wonder if they'll ask me about the Zegras situation, and I don't think Flyers fans will like what I have to say about it because it was total chicken shit. But anyways, thanks for rolling with us today. Long show. Appreciate the chat contributions. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your comments in the stream. once the show is over, and get the automatic downloads going. We hope everybody has a great Wednesday. Catch DFL at noon and catch The Sheet at 1 with Brian Burke. We hope everybody has a great day. We'll see you at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cup of Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for The Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.